Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. My name's Tracy, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this cute turn-up beanie. This one is for 4 to 6 years. I'm making it for my granddaughter Sophia, so I'm going to show you this size, and I'm going to show you how to make it in these Christmas colours. This is this is King Cole Glitz. It's DK. It's quite a thin DK. I would say a little bit thinner than this, which was also DK. And for this one, I used the King Cole Melody in DK. So you won't need a whole skein, but you might if you're making a large pom-pom. I've made a fairly large one for this hat, which I'm hoping works out okay. If not, I will just make a medium size one, the same as this. But this obviously used quite a lot of yarn to make that one. So I'm going to show you, as I said, how to make this size with this yarn, and I'm hoping that it's easier to see. I will be doing tutorials for the smaller sizes. This one is slightly different to this because it needs a little kind of different shaping, being as though it's a tiny baby, but I will do that one at another time. So I'm going to get my bits together, and I will show you how to make this cute little beanie. Okay, so for this I'm going to need a measuring tape, a size 4mm crochet hook. I think that's a 4.5, so I need to find 4 because I thought that was one, and a pair of scissors and a darning needle. Oh, and if you're making one and you haven't got anything, something to make a pom-pom, I've got the plastic pom-pom makers like this. But if you do it with card, then that's fine. Just do it your normal way. I'm not going to show you how to do this at this stage, but at some point I will make a little tutorial on how to make a pom-pom. But I think there are hundreds of them on YouTube anyway, but I'm just going to use this one. Well, I already have, as you see, the pom-pom. So I'm just going to pause it a second while I find what's happened to my 4mm crochet hook. Oh, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's around here somewhere. And the notification bell, and you'll be informed when there are new videos. Also, just to tell you, I will be doing this in... excuse me, I will be doing it in a left-handed tutorial as well, so you can either go from one to the other. That's fine. I'll put a link on here round about now, so if there's a card up here you need the left-hand tutorial, just click that link. It'll also be in the description box. Likewise, if you're watching this and it's a left-handed tutorial and you needed the right, then you just click the link. Thanks, and I'll just be back in a second. Right, so I have my 4mm crochet hook, and this is a Tulip Etimo. I've been trialing these for a while now, but I'm continuing to trial them, and so far I'm getting on quite well with them, but I'll do a review at some point and let you all know what's the best ones. Some hooks are different in different sizes. So anyway, make a slip knot in any way that you normally do, just in case you don't know how to make a slip knot, and I'll show you. How I was taught was to make a loop and then go around the back of it and put the yarn through and pull it. Ever so simple. I'll show you one more time. So let's make a loop, go around behind it and put the yarn through it and pull. So that wasn't very long, so I'm going to do it my normal way and leave a nice long tail just in case I need it to when I'm sewing up. So I'm going to make 47 chain. Now if you want, it might quite often, if you find your chain pulls, it might be advisable to use a larger crochet hook, so I'm going to use the 4.5 just to make the chain. That's just a little trick for you if you find that when you make your chain, your foundation row chains, then sometimes they pull a little bit. So how we do a chain is to yarn over and pull it through the loop on your hook. So just yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So that I've done 4. Now I'm going to pause it for a second until I've got 47, because there's nothing worse than somebody else counting when you're trying to concentrate. So I'll just come back to you once I've done my 47. So now I have my 47 chain. I'm just going to change back over to my 4mm crochet hook. You can go up another half a size if you want to. I just happen to have that one handy as I picked up the wrong hook. So now I'm going to turn this slightly. I'm going to zoom in for this just to show you. And I'm going to go through the back loops of my crochet chain. So if you can't do it, that's fine. You just go into this part. So I'm going to go into the second chain from the hook. So this loop doesn't count. I've got one there, one there. So it's this one I'm looking for. So if you turn it, you can see at the back there is a bump. So you just insert your hook into that bump. I'm zoomed, so just got to be careful. And do what we call in the UK a double crochet, which in the US is a single. So once you're underway with going through the back bumps, it just naturally turns that way. Once you've got the first one done, it just turns that way for you. So it's nice and simple. But as I said, if you can't do it, then just go through the normal part there. So I'll show you one more time. This is a UK double crochet or a US single. You go into the stitch. Remember, if it doesn't matter if you're not going through the back loops, yarn over and pull through, 2 loops, yarn over and pull through both of those. So now I'm going to do one of these in every single chain, just exactly the same. Show you one more time in the back loop there. If you can't get the back loop, remember it doesn't matter too much. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 of them. And that's it. So we're going to do 1 in each stitch all the way along. So at the end of this, you should have 46 stitches once you've been through every single one of these chain. So I'm going to pause the video and I will pick up with you when we get to the end of the row and we've got our stitches. Okay, so I've gone into my very last one and now I'm just going to chain 1 and I'm going to cinch that chain right down so there's no confusion whether it's a stitch or not. It's fine, I do that all the time. And I'm just going to turn my work, and I realise then that this might be a little difficult to see because of the variegated yarn. So I'm going to zoom in again. Now what we want to do is we want to go through our back loops only. There we go, focus. So this loop on the hook and that little cinch down chain don't count, but this is our V of our stitch. So there's our first one. I'm going to insert into the back loop only. There's the first loop, and I'm going to do another one of our stitches. Again into the back loop. I'm just going in one of them, and I'm going to do 1 in every single stitch all the way along into just the back loops. Do a few more and I'll show you what it looks like. So make sure you're in the back loop only of our stitch. Now be careful not to turn it, because if you do, see, you can see which one we've gone into. There's our back loop, but I'll see if I can find one that's easier to show you on. So this is the loop we're going in. It's probably more easier on subsequent rows. I'll show you what you need to watch out for. So we're just going to go in every single stitch all the way along, but only going in that back loop. So once we've done that, you're forming this little ridge all the way along here. And if I show you on this hat, although this is variegated yarn as well, it's easier to show you because it's forming these little ridges as you're working, and they look like ribbon. But if I pull that out, you can see we've gone in, this is the front loop, and this is where we've gone into the back loops. So we're creating this rib effect. So I'm just going to carry on all the way along, going through those back loops only. Just that simple. In every single stitch, all the way to the end. So I'm going to pause the video and I will meet up with you once we get to the end again. Okay, so I'm almost at the end, and I do my very final stitch a little bit different, so I'm going to carry on until I get right to the end, going in the back loops. Right, so now, whoops, fell out because I'm trying to see what I'm doing past the camera. So here we are, I'm at my last one. I'm just going to go in the normal in both loops and do my stitch. So my last one will always be a normal one. So now I'm going to do my chain and cinch it down, and I'm going to turn my work. Now it is normal for this to curl, so don't worry if yours is curling up a little bit. I'm going to zoom out so I can show you, because otherwise it goes off the camera a little bit too easily. So now we're going to do another row. All of our rows are going to be done in the back loop. So there's my little cinch chain. You can see it all small. I'm just going to go into the back loop and carry on exactly the same. Now I will say, because we're doing this, this is more of a time consuming beanie than maybe if you're working in the round, because as we're going through the back loops, we're not making the tallest of stitches, and I find that it does grow slowly. Plus, you know, where you're concentrating on going into the back loops, you're slower. So now if I turn it, you can see there's this ridge here, and that's what we have created. So sometimes if you're not got your wits about you, instead of going in that loop there, you might, or go into two of them, you might pick up this one and it might slip down. So just beware that you do go into the, there's your V's of the stitches that you have created, that you're just going into that back loop and not the row below. So that's what I was trying to show you, but obviously I needed a row below to show you, so that's what I couldn't show you before. But we're just going to go in each one again with our back loops only, and I always find if you hold it there, you won't get it by mistake, and you should be fine. So I'm going to carry on all the way to the end, and I will pick up with you once I get to the end of the row. Okay, so I'm almost there. I've got my last back loop, and then in my last stitch I'm just going to go in as normal and do a normal stitch, cinch my chain down and turn. It doesn't really matter, I just find that ends my row nicely, but I don't need it for the height, so that's fine. So again, I'm going to go into the back loops, but I just want to show you how this is looking before I do. So you've got your nice little ridges forming. Now this one is a variegated yarn, it's a Christmas yarn, and this one that I made was self-striping, so it's got kind of different length of colour, if you like, but it's sort of got this overall effect that I quite like. This one, I think it's a pretty yarn, but if you wanted to, you could just use two colours or maybe several colours. So you could change every row, you could change every 2 rows, you could use rainbow colours, and you could use rainbow colours with a white in there. You can just do anything really with the colour, but you don't have to just make it one colour or like this with one yarn. You can just keep going until you know, whichever colour scheme you want to do. So I'm going to carry on then, going through the back loops only, and that's basically the pattern now. So it's kind of simple, little bit tricky if you've not used to going into the back bumps. Don't worry if you can't, it doesn't make any difference really. It just has that foundation row just has a slightly nicer finish to it, but it doesn't matter. You can just go into the normal part of the chain, and I think I did go into that bottom bit. See, that is so easy to do. It is very easy to do. So just watch out for that. So I just wanted to show you there. Obviously I did it on purpose. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, it is very easy to do with this kind of yarn because it's not that evident to see where you're at. The more busy the yarn, the harder it is to show you with it. But I do want to make this Christmas hat to match the baby's one, because Sophia's having a new baby sister, so I just thought it'd be nice for them to both have a Christmas hat. Just pulling out some yarn if you wonder what I'm doing. So just carry on all the way along, going through those back loops only, and working in these rows. I'll just pause it a second. Pause my crochet for a second, not my video. So now you want to carry on. Roughly you'll find that you will have about 80 rows. It depends on the yarn. This one I think it was about 38 rows, because basically you need it to, once you've finished, to measure approximately 40 centimeters. Now this yarn is very drapey, very drapey. I'll show you on the baby hat. Slightly different pattern, but it's got a lot more stretch. This is a lot sturdier, if you know what I mean. It's kind of got, if you hold it, it keeps its shape a great deal more than this one's a bit more floppy and a bit more drapey. So I find there it's looser. So I would say maybe this one I'm going to do about 38 inches. Oh, sorry, centimeters, not inches. But you can judge it really. So this is for a 4-year-old. This is 4 to 6. So I don't really want it to be huge on her. So that's what you just need to carry on now until your work measures around 40 centimeters. So that's roughly about 80 rows. So, and you can count that quite easily by the ridges. You've got 1 ridge, 2 ridge, you'll have 40 of them, but maybe 38. It just really depends. Keep your measuring tape handy, and you want it to sort of be around 40 centimeters, which is quite big. But remember then, if I show you on this hat, you will lose a little bit at the gather, and then you've got this turn up. So it does seem really long. It's hard to show you on the camera because but then once you've got your turn up, it's actually not. So that's why it does seem rather long. But carry on working through those back loops and going up in your rows until your work measures your desired amount. And I'd say between 38 to 40 centimeters. I'm going to do 38 on this one, as I said, because it's a much more give-in yarn than the other one. So thanks. I'm going to pause it now, and I'll pick up with you when we get to the right length. Right, so I've actually got mine measuring at 39, so well, near enough 40, 39.5. So I've more or less done my 40 centimeters. So this is how it's going to look once you're done. Obviously if you're not using this yarn, it will look different, but you know what I mean. This is how it comes out. So now we're going to join it. So I'm just going to pause it a second while I reposition my camera, and I'm going to show you how we do the joining. Okay, so I've not ended off. I have, if you have ended off, it doesn't matter, you can always reattach. So I've got my chain to turn. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through both loops of this side, and then I'm going to get my corresponding side, and I'm going to go through the back loop only. I need to take my yarn around, sorry, I'd got it in the wrong place. So I'm going to go through the back loop only. That way, on the other side, it still creates the ridge, if you catch my drift. So now I'm going to slip stitch through both. I'll show you again, going through 2 loops this side, and then there's my 2 stitches, and I'm going through the back one only, and I'm going to slip stitch. I've got it a little zoomed, sorry. So both my stitches this side, and go for this one and the back loop only. Pull it through and pull it through. And we're going to do that all the way along. Careful not to make it tight as you're working. We don't want that to be tight. 2 loops, back one. We're just going to do that all the way along until we get to the other end. Okay, so I'm just on my last one. That's my tail from my previous, when I started. So that's my last one. I'm just going to cut that as a very, very long tail. I'll show you why. There we are. Just going to end off in the usual way of doing a chain and pulling it all the way through, cinching it down. Now, when I was joining, I had a break in my yarn, so I've got this end here and this noose part, but you won't have that. I just ended up, I don't know why, there was a break in the yarn, so I'll sort that out as I go, don't worry about that. So now this is how it looks. You just got a long tube. So this will now be the turn up, and this will be the gather at the top here. It's hard to see, I know, with this yarn being Christmassy, but that's how it's going to look. So I'm now going to show you how to do the top part. So I'm just going to pause the video a moment while I get ready. Okay, so I got rid of those tails. That's what I wanted to do, was just to make sure that all of that was gone, so it wasn't confusing with all these ends. But as you can see, this is how it looks this side, and the only reason that I think you can see this join is because of the type of variegated yarn that I'm using. But because I've now sewn those ends in as well, this is going to be the back, and this will be the main side. And the reason I wanted to show you this was, I'm going to put the yarn through there. So now we're in the right way, and you can't see where that join is because the way we closed it, you can't see that at all. You have no idea where it is unless you go and find this, and then you know, because you can't see it at all. It looks identical all the way along. There's a ridge and there's the next ridge. So how do we close it? So this is my very long tail that I left, and I'm going to just insert my hook and pull up my loop. So now we're ready to go. So I'm going to miss this ridge, and I'm going to go in this one and do a slip stitch and pull it through, and I'm going to miss this ridge, go into this one, do a slip stitch and pull it through. Now you can do it this way, or you can use a darning needle, and this is the way that I use mostly, but I wanted to show you the other way. It really does depend on what you want to do. Now remember, once you've done it, you're going to have a huge pom-pom disguising your top, so exactly the same way. Ignore this ridge and go through to this one. Ignore this ridge and go through to this one. And you just pull it, you see. And then, where are we? That one. Just go all the way around. Catching every other ridge. And then just pull it tight. Did I go through my yarn there? Made a loop. There we are. So it'll pull like this. And it pulls it nice and tight. You can even, if you want, just do it like this. And then just do them all at once. It's much easier that way. Again, so there we are in that one. You don't have to do every other one. If it freaks you out, you can go in any of them. As long as you're pulling it, so it's gathering and closing. Remember, if it looks messy at the top, it doesn't really matter. We're now in the right side on the outside. If you wrong side's on the inside. Put nice and tight. And grab two then. It's getting harder to see, isn't it? Because we're closing it right up now. Almost there. There will be a hole. Don't worry about that. It's no problem at all. You won't be sort of feeling it or seeing it. So here we are. Just need to pull it as tight as you can to close that up. That'll do me. I can get my finger in there, but that's no problem. So now, remember, you aren't going to see this. It's going to have a humongous pom-pom. Well, it doesn't have to be humongous, of course. It can be a medium size or any size pom-pom. Right, so that's now closed. So I'm just going to cut a tail. I'm going to bring that up through the pom-pom so it's no problem at all. You won't see it. So just stuff that inside for now. Now, here's my pom-pom. And I left my tails on there. One of them's doubled over. So if I cut that. So I should have 4 strands. Now what I try to do is I get my darning needle and I thread one of them and I try to go at 4 corners if you like. You don't have to do that, but I try to get that so that it's like in different, different places. And then it helps to thread all your needle up the right way. I won't edit that out. I know everybody likes my mistakes. Wouldn't be me if I didn't make the odd one. So then I just pop that in there and pull it through. Normally I have a longer tail on my pom-poms, so pull that through carefully so I don't pull it out. Go to find another one. So let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that one can go over there. And just separate these. You don't have to be so picky as I am. I just try and get it central. Thread that part. It helps to have thumbnails, so we can see where that one's gone in. So we'll try and find another part to pop that one on the inside. And just pull this one through. Turn it slightly. I've got two more. This one. So that one was where? So it's there. So I go here. You could just do it. Hang on, make sure that I've gone just in that part only. I realise I'm probably being quite picky here. Okay, and that's my last one. So I'm just going to secure that in there. Now, all of my tails are through, so I'm going to reach in and grab them as I turn this in that way. There we are. So now I'm just going to tie them up for a bit. So I'm going to tie these two together. As tight as I possibly can. And then I'm going to tie these two. That's actually an end. Can incorporate it. And tie these two together. Then I'm going to do it this way. And this is where I hope when I turn it in the other way, it doesn't look awful because I've secured it. And it would be a nightmare if I didn't like it, wouldn't it? It was when I brought a Pom-Pom, a big fluffy one for the other hat, and I secured it and I didn't like it. So that was a nightmare to try and figure out how to get that off. So there we are, and I like it. That's cool. So now all that needs to be done is this turn up. See what I mean about it's quite a big hat, really. It's sort of quite drapey yarn. So there we are. We've got our Pom-Pom. We've got our hat, and it sits nice. I'm quite happy with that. It's hard to show you because I can't zoom out. If I lift it, there we are. Does look kind of cool. I like that pom-pom. It may be giant, but that's fashionable now, isn't it? So all that I need to do now is to grab these tails and bring them up through the pom-pom and cut them off. So that's quite easy, but you don't need to see me do that, I don't think. It's just grabbing the darning needle and pushing them up through the pom-pom and then just snipping them. I will say I'm not the world's best pom-pom trimmer. I did think I did really well with this one, although, as I just said, I'm not the world's best pom-pom trimmer. Every now and then I'll find a bit that I think, oh, gotta get rid of that. Some people are brilliant at it, but I do admit that I leave a little bit to be desired when it comes to trimming pom-poms. So there we are. I've got my size 4 to 6 and my baby one ready to give as gifts. So that's that done. Now the next tutorial I do will be a baby size because I want to make as I've made 2 Christmas hats, one baby and one 4 to 6. I want to make 2 like this, but I won't use this yarn. It's not baby yarn. It's nice and soft. You wouldn't dislike it, but for a newborn baby I'm going to use this one, this James C. Brett baby marble. So the next tutorial I do in these hats will be this size, which is so I found another one. I believe this one was 0 to 3 months, because when the baby's born around Christmas time, she's going to be about 2 months old, 6 weeks, 2 months old. So I didn't want it to be kind of tiny newborn. Having said that, this yarn is, as I say, very drapey, so it will stretch. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Watch out for the next tutorial and for the left-handed tutorials that I'll put up as well. So thank you so much for watching. Bye for now, everyone.